were the tradition. You would also maybe add some minerals, and these were the main exports. And then later on they added on even grains, but grains were also more consumed domestically. So during that time, the type of work with Uganda was coffee marketing board, produce marketing board, you had cotton promotion, you had tea authority and agencies, though tea was in form of estates. But from the 90s, Uganda, like most other African countries or developing countries, including Latin America, undertook what is called economic liberalization, what they called trade liberalization. They opened up the market, and there was a feeling that the government should not be involved in, for example, in the purchase and sale of certain products. So you saw now coffee marketing board going, but replaced by Uganda Coffee Development Authority. You saw produce marketing board disappear. These foods and beverages were liberalized. Cotton, we got Cotton Development Organization. So again, the focus now in a liberal environment, there was again bigger focus on marketing of exports. More of promoting exports, but that time it was mainly commodities exports, mainly commodities. Again, some were agricultural, some were agricultural products, most were agricultural products. Actually, the 90s, more than 60% of exports were agricultural. But from now, late 90s, you begin to go into 2000, then you realize that Uganda begins to export not agricultural products only, which are perishable primary, but also manufactured exports and services. And therefore, Uganda Export Promotion Board now focus begins to promote not only agricultural products, but to promote agricultural products, to promote agro-processed products, to promote manufactured products, and also promote services. And that shows you, again, the metamorphosis of Uganda Export Promotion Board now moving with the times to make sure that we promote these products. By 1996, when it became a board, at that time it was an Export Promotion Council. It had a gentleman called Mr. Henry Nyakojo, who was the executive secretary. So it changed to executive director, and the first executive director of the board then was Mr. Robert Rutagi, then who was followed by a lady called Florence Carter, and then there were others who were acting short time, and then I think substantially I am the third executive director of Uganda Export Promotion Board since 1996. Achievements have been recorded, but let me mention that with the Export Promotion Board now revamped away from the Export Promotion Council, then the Export Promotion Board is given 5 core responsibilities. Some people call them aims and objectives, others call them core functions, others call them core work. But these are the 5 functions of Export Promotion Board. 1 is the development of exports. 2 is the promotion of exports. 3 is providing trade information and trade information. It is also on exports, but sometimes also in imports, because we know sometimes imports compete with our exports. The other responsibility is providing customized advisory services, including logistics management, international contracting, the whole thing on how to penetrate markets, but also advising companies. And we conduct what we call export readiness assessment. So we assess the company to see whether they are ready to export. And once we find they are ready to export, we look at what is missing and we provide it. Sometimes we can advise people to get to other companies that can help them to provide them the readiness. Then once they are ready, we handhold them, we take them to the market. But also, we also do advise, because we interact with the private sector. We advise the private sector No, we get the challenges of the private sector. We understand the private sector, the exporters, the producers, get their challenges, put them into kind of issue papers, into reports, and forward them to government. And the government, meaning that through our ministry, the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, which is the ministry, and then the ministry then we'll find a way of how to turn them into to get good policies, good strategies, good plans that will promote exports. Development of exports entails several things, but one of them is to have an exportable product or an exportable service. So we work with companies to develop exportable services or exportable products. How do we do it? We do it through training them. We do it through doing export readiness assessment, and when we think they are ready, we handhold them and take them to the market, and we do what we call test marketing. And once they have tested the market and they have understood it, and then we support them, we go with them, they get orders. Once they have filled the orders 1, 2, 3, then we keep following them to see that they are doing the right job. The other important aspect is what we call providing information, trade information. We give trade information service, and we in a user-friendly way. As I said, since we are the only specialized government agency to promote exports, it is our responsibility to go and do market studies, market scoping studies, in-depth market studies, collect information during promotions and B2B events, and this information we make it user-friendly and we disseminate it to potential exporters, the private sector, including producers, because some producers can become exporters. The third thing we do is promotion, providing promotional services. Promotional services include trade fairs, including organizing expositions. COVID has been bad to us. We were coordinating, and we are still coordinating what they call Expo 2020 Dubai, which was pushed 2021, but we still call it 2020 Dubai, which is bringing more than 190 countries and organizations in one area, in one square kilometer, to talk trade, to expose our products to the world, to expose our country to the world. So using those expositions, using trade fairs, using solo country exhibitions, using buyer-seller meetings, matchmaking of buyers and producers, matchmakers of exporters and foreign buyers, we get more exports, we get more sales, we reach out to many people. But also, like I said, underlying this, we do training also. We continue to train. We continue doing training because training is important to build the capacity of the players in the sector of exports. Then we do what we call customized advisory services. Customized advisory service is the fourth function of how companies can engage in international contracting, in logistics management, in export documentation, in the legal issues, but even in keeping customer relationships. Related to that, we also do what we call exporter aftercare. So once people have exported, once companies have exported, then we keep with them, find out whether they are getting problems with those who buy from them. Our ministry is the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. And since this is my first time on camera, let me take this opportunity to welcome our new ministers, headed by Honorable Francis Mwebesa, our new minister, and also take time to thank our previous minister, Honorable Amelia Chambade, who is the outgoing minister. So that is a Ministry of Trade. So we take the views of the private sector to the Ministry of Trade to be compiled into policies, to be compiled into strategies, to be compiled into plans, good policies that are pro-export. So these are the 5 core functions that we do. And doing that, inside there, some of the activities that I've mentioned or have not mentioned is that, again, using the export readiness assessment tool, we assess, and this tool, I should mention that we started it almost 3 years ago. We assess the potential for companies to export and now build their capacity. One of the activities, capacity building via training, via mentoring, via hand-holding. The other activity we do is providing them trade information, give them information that is user-friendly. We give them how to export. We give them, are you ready to export? We give them the export process map, the stages you go to export. We train them on how to meet and work with exporters and keep with exporters. But also we undertake promotions. One of the activities, very important activity that Uganda Export Promotion does, but also Uganda Tourism does. Any company, any organization that is promoting the image of a country, that is promoting the products of a country, undertakes promotional activities. And I told you we are organizing Expo 2020 Dubai. We have organized other activities, promotional activities in Kenya. Previously, in the last 3 years, in the last 4 years, because there is this year of COVID, which I don't want to talk about, which affected our arrangement. So we have organized activities in DR Congo. We have organized activities in Kenya. Before, we also organized activities, promotional activities in Rwanda. We have organized activities in China. We have organized promotional activities in London, and in Dubai for United Arab Emirates and other places. And let me tell you, the results are coming out. When we promote, we get people buying Ugandan products. That's why in some of these markets where we have done promotion, where government has put money to promote through Uganda Export Promotion Board, exports have increased. So when you look at markets like United Arab Emirates, our exports have increased. China, we're improving. The region, you know, the EAC and COMESA is Uganda's biggest block of a market. And we export more than 50% to these regions, which is important for this country. But also now that the president and other presidents came up to make the African continental free trade area, we think that will also expand our market. But also we have our traditional market of the European Union, and which normally has always been above 500 million US dollars, and we can expand in that market. So we think this is important. The other activity that and sometimes, I mean, because we're a developing country, you don't get enough funding for this. The other activity that is important is to give information to the public. We should not only give information to the exporters, but to the public. There are people out there who have land, for example, and they are wondering what commercial product can they engage in so that they can make money. There are people out there who have money, and they are saying, what can I engage in so that I can export? I can produce a lot of products for the market. There are companies out there who need to get this information. But also, we need, and we started a year before COVID intercepted us. I don't say interrupted, intercepted us. And we will continue now that we have learned to live with COVID, is that we need to encourage Ugandans to produce for the market, both the domestic market and the export market. Because most of the products that we export, some are produced and consumed. Majority of it, the greater percentage of these products are consumed in Uganda. So once we encourage Ugandans to produce for the market, then some will produce for the market, but that market will be export market. We thank the government, but personally His Excellency the President, for his vision to see that exports are important and coming in directly to support us with additional funding. And this is important, and this will take this country very far, because all countries that have developed have had the role of government. Government is important in developing the country, and the government's role comes in because of lack. Sometimes private sector lacks information. Our private sector, they are SMEs, they are small, they don't have enough money to do research, so they need information that is from government. But also the other challenge that we have faced Again, now this is the COVID which has come in, but I talk about COVID later. But the other challenges we have had is for a long time there was lack of appreciation of the role of an export promotion agency. Because when we privatized, there were some views among government bureaucrats thinking that, you know, now that you privatized it, you don't need a government agency to promote that. What is the role of a government agency? Not knowing that the government agency provides what we call imprimatur. Imprimatur is the seal of approval. Imprimatur is the seal of approval. You have seen companies coming from China, they come with government. They come from United Arab Emirates, they come with government. They come from America, they come with government. When you are going to promote your trade, you need to have government. And therefore you need that government agency and ministry responsible for promoting trade. So when we go out to tell them, when you get a problem with products from Uganda, let's be there to help. Let's know and help you. So that appreciation, I think, was a big challenge, but I think now that is improving. We have changed many things. We have made an organization. Also, we thank Minister of Finance, which is also responsible for Treasury, that they decided to make Uganda Export Promotion Board a vote of its own. COVID is that thing which came like maybe from heaven, but it didn't come from heaven because God does not send Satan. And it fell in the whole world, and when it fell, it affected exports. It affected countries where we sell our exports, goods and services, but it also affected our producers. It affected the transport because then the planes had to come. So, you know, it affected us. But let me tell you that despite that, we were a bit lucky. We had projected higher figures, but we were a bit lucky that we were able to export commodities worth around $4.1 billion US dollars. $4.1 billion US dollars, which was okay. We wanted more, but because the period was bad, in 2019 we did $4.1 billion US dollars. In 2020, the worst year, we exported 4.28. You can call it, there is also informal trade, which is difficult to account for. So we exported around over 4.3 billion US dollars. The improvement was small, but what could we have done as a country? And so we know that COVID one day will go. When AIDS came, HIV, AIDS, we were scared, but it also got diminished. It didn't disappear completely, but got diminished. So we know that also COVID will get diminished, and we will be happy. Way forward, with the greater support that I have told you we are receiving from His Excellency the President, also through the government NRM manifesto, which we implement for 5 years. Also NDP 3, National Development Plan 3, Export Promotion Board is at the center. In fact, in NDP 3, National Development Plan 3, we are given over 17 direct activities that we are required to undertake to increase exports. In the previous NDP 2, Uganda Export Promotion Board maybe was mentioned once or twice, but now we are all over. And we are all over to promote manufacturing exports, to promote agro-processing exports, agriculture exports, minerals, and services. Services mainly other than tourism. But also I mentioned that again we are also with the support we are getting from our ministry, the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, and we will be working very well with our new minister and the honorable minister and the ministers of state to promote exports, because exports matter. And we know all countries that have exported have been successful. Those who have not exported have had challenges. So we will do this, and our strategic plan is there to implement the National Export Development Strategy, which informed the National Development Plan 3. And we also, like I said, in the NI manifesto again, Export Promotion Board is mentioned, and they are saying we should support Export Promotion Board, because once we have produced a lot of products, and you had the president say it on his swearing in, we need markets, and Export Promotion Board will aggressively look for the markets, and will aggressively promote markets, will aggressively promote goods and services in those markets. Let me take the opportunity to thank all our partners. We have several partners, but I want to particularly to thank the MDAs, ministries, departments and agencies that are supporting us, that are working with us. Our own ministry, the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Finance, National Bureau of Standards, Uganda Tourism Board, Uganda Investment Authority, and several other agencies, URA, Uganda Registration Services Bureau, that support us. But also we have also the Private Sector Foundation, Uganda Manufacturers, and all exporters associations for fish, for horticulture, for agro-processing, for cotton, for coffee, for tea, for cocoa, and all these others. But also I want to thank also other partners, including the International Trade Center, ITC, part of the World Trade Organization, WTO. They have been with us, but also generally also we thank the support that has been given to our ministry by Trademark. Trademark is a trust that has been supporting trade in our region, and those and the producer associations and those government districts, local government. And those private sector people, those exporters and producers who have worked with us directly to increase access. I don't want to forget an organization called Swiss Contact. Swiss Contact is a Swiss organization, development organization, that has worked with us to link us, to work with us on development of cocoa. We have worked with them and exporters and producers to link cocoa. Cocoa is an upcoming product which is already giving us more than $70 million US. But when I come again, having thanked everybody, I have not mentioned you, whoever I have not mentioned, I have thanked you if you have worked with us. But UBC, the last time when we had export week, we gave awards during the export week. UBC got an exporters award. And you know, the exporters award are by the president. It is called Presidential Exports Award. We gave an award to UBC for having been one of the good partners in promotion of exports, working with Uganda Export Promotion Board and working with the Ministry of Trade. Ladies and gentlemen who have been watching my presentation, I humbly say, let's work together. Let's observe SOPs. COVID is still here. We'll fight it for God and my country.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa. If we get vaccinated now, observe social distancing, wear a mask properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap